Are y'all ready for the absolute audacity, because what we are witnessing right now in the year 2026 is officially beyond human comprehension. Hold on to your seats, lock your doors, and grab your snacks, because Papoose has just managed to completely expose himself on a global stage, and suddenly every single erratic, wild, and shocking claim Remy Ma ever made about Claressa Shields makes perfect, terrifying sense. Did we all collectively fall into a parallel universe? Or is the hip-hop world actually burning down to the ground right before our eyes? You cannot make this up. For months, the public was led to believe that everything was perfectly fine, that the moving bags were just internet gossip, and that the boundaries were completely respected. But a massive unexpected slip-up has changed everything, completely pulling back the curtain on a web of control, illusion, and sheer confusion that left even the most dedicated celebrity investigators utterly speechless. We are talking about absolute chaos unfolding in real time. The kind of public meltdown that completely rewrites history and leaves everyone questioning who the real villain actually is. How deep does this rabbit hole actually go? Is it possible that the warning signs were staring us directly in the face this entire time while we were all looking the other way? Let's dive straight into the madness, because the details that just surfaced are about to change everything you thought you knew about this entire situation. The absolute shockwave hitting the internet right now is nothing short of a cinematic catastrophe. And to truly understand how we got to this point of no return, we have to unravel the tangled, messy, and frankly ridiculous web of the individuals involved in this brewing public meltdown. We are looking at a situation where the legendary rap icon Remy Ma, her legally bound but highly estranged husband Papoose, and the undisputed self-proclaimed greatest woman of all time, boxing champion Claressa Shields, have entered a toxic orbit of public drama that is actively destroying the boundaries of celebrity etiquette. For years, Remy Ma and Papoose were celebrated as the absolute golden standard of hip-hop relationships, a ride-or-die duo that survived the harshest legal battles, lengthy prison sentences, and the brutal scrutiny of the music industry. They built an entire brand around unconditional loyalty, mutual respect, and an unbreakable bond that seemed entirely impervious to the typical traps of fame and fortune. But as the old saying goes, the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows, and behind that heavily marketed veneer of perfect marital bliss lay a simmering pot of unspoken tension, unresolved grievances, and a collection of packed bags that have apparently been sitting by the front door since the Obama administration. Enter Claressa Shields, a woman whose entire identity is rooted in absolute dominance inside the boxing ring. A fierce competitor who has spent her life punching through barriers and conquering the sports world with unmatched athleticism and a fiercely independent attitude. On paper, the intersection of an elite world champion fighter and a veteran rap couple makes absolutely zero sense, which is precisely why the internet collectively lost its mind when the public interactions, the cozy vacation vlogs, and the questionable business alignment started surfacing across social media platforms. The controversy surrounding this trio didn't just appear overnight. It has been slowly festering like a poorly treated wound, fed by cryptic Instagram captions, sudden unfollow sprees, and a sequence of bizarre public statements that left fans trying to read between lines that were already incredibly blurred. For months, the narrative was carefully spun to make it look like a perfectly innocent, professional mentorship where an experienced industry veteran was simply offering guidance to a young athlete looking to maximize her brand in the entertainment space. But anyone with a basic understanding of celebrity optics could see that something was fundamentally off, that the math wasn't matching, and that the sheer level of intensity and frequency of these interactions pointed to a completely different reality. The bad reputation of this entire situation started cementing itself when Remy Ma finally broke her silence in the most explosive, unfiltered way possible, dropping a guest verse that shook the very foundations of the hip-hop community and left Papoose completely exposed to a level of public ridicule he has never experienced in his entire decades-long career. When Remy stood in front of a microphone and delivered a cold, calculated, and utterly devastating line demanding that Papoose finally come and collect his belongings, she didn't just throw shade. She effectively launched a heat-seeking missile directly at his carefully constructed public persona. The line wasn't just a clever metaphor or a filler bar designed to generate temporary Twitter hype. It was a literal, undeniable call-out confirming that the man who constantly boasts about his extensive real estate portfolio, his multiple properties, and his financial independence was apparently treating his ex's house like a free long-term storage facility. This single revelation instantly shifted the public perception, transforming Papoose from a dignified, loyal husband into a figure of intense suspicion and mockery, with millions of viewers demanding to know why a grown man with alleged millions in the bank refused to pick up his own clothes. The tension reached an absolute fever pitch as people began to realize that this wasn't just about a few missing shirts or a forgotten pair of sneakers. It was a deeply psychological power play, a literal manifestation of someone refusing to cut the final cord of a dead relationship, while simultaneously trying to build a brand new public image with a much younger woman. The suspense only intensified as the days rolled on, with the digital world transforming into a full-scale investigative boardroom, analyzing every single frame of video, every interview snippet, and every social media interaction to figure out exactly what Papoose was trying to hide. Why would someone with an abundance of resources choose to keep his life so messily entangled with his past, while trying to pivot toward a seemingly glamorous future? The answer to that question started to become glaringly obvious when independent commentators and eagle-eyed fans began uncovering the sheer hypocrisy buried within Papoose's own words, showing a pattern of behavior that completely validates every single warning Remy Ma ever whispered into the wind. We are talking about an elite-level misdirection where the public was being fed a wholesome narrative of growth and partnership, while beneath the surface, a completely different dynamic of control, ego, and manipulation was playing out in real time. It is the classic celebrity illusion where the audience is told to look at the shiny new contract, the luxury vacations, and the inspiring social media posts, while completely ignoring the trail of unresolved legal ties, uncollected baggage, and deeply questionable motives left in the wake. This isn't just a simple case of a relationship ending and a new one beginning. It is a full-scale masterclass in how public figures use their status to manipulate narratives, protect their fragile egos, and avoid the harsh reality of their own personal failures. The deeper you look into the timeline of events, the more sinister the entire setup begins to feel, as the transition from a decade-long marriage to a sudden, highly publicized partnership with a world-class athlete looks less like a natural evolution and more like a calculated distraction tactic. The public backlash was already building momentum, but nothing could have prepared the internet for the absolute self-sabotage that Papoose was about to inflict upon himself during a routine digital interaction that was supposed to be completely harmless. It is the ultimate irony of the modern internet age that the very tools these celebrities use to maintain their relevance and connect with their audience are the exact same tools that ultimately expose their deepest, most unvarnished truths to the world. You have a situation where someone believes they are completely untouchable, completely immune to the critical eye of the public, and so comfortable in their own deception that they completely forget to filter their words during a casual live stream. That is exactly where the narrative takes a sharp, unforgiving turn into absolute madness, because the moment a person drops their guard and speaks from their true subconscious mindset, the entire house of cards they spent months building comes crashing down in a matter of seconds. The sheer anticipation of what would happen next kept the entire entertainment world on the edge of its seat, waiting for the definitive piece of evidence that would tie all of Remy's seemingly chaotic claims together into a coherent, undeniable truth. And when that moment finally arrived, it didn't come in the form of a leaked document or a high-profile exposed interview. It came straight from the mouth of the man himself, validating every single critic who claimed that his perception of age, maturity, and relationship dynamics was profoundly warped. This brings us directly to the core of the newly uncovered evidence that has completely set the digital landscape on fire, as a seemingly insignificant exchange with a sports fan completely exposed the underlying power dynamic that Papoose has been operating under for years. The digital landscape completely fractured the exact second that casual live stream exchange was clipped and uploaded, sending a shockwave through the commentary community that completely dismantled Papoose's carefully curated image. According to deep-dive investigative reports circulating through underground celebrity blogs and highly placed anonymous industry insiders, this wasn't just a minor slip of the tongue. It was a devastating window into a pattern of behavior that completely changes how we view his sudden alignment with Claressa Shields. The leaked details from behind-the-scenes production staff suggest that Papoose's playful roast of a 38-year-old sports fan, telling him he still smelled like baby formula because he was way too young, sent absolute shockwaves through Claressa's immediate camp, sparking frantic, late-night phone calls and emergency meetings with her public relations team. Insiders claim that an anonymous source close to the situation revealed a series of leaked text messages where individuals within the boxing community openly questioned How a man who views an almost 40-year-old adult as a literal toddler could ever look at a 31-year-old woman as an equal.